Hey guys, Elliott and Morgan here. We are back with a review for Maze Runner: The Death Cure. So it's been a little bit of time, been about 2 weeks. We've missed you guys, so we are back at it. So we're gonna talk a little bit about this movie.
Yeah, so as you guys know, what we normally like to do is keep it spoiler free. So we're just gonna touch on things like the story, ESPN there. Things like the story, the performances, the direction of the film, overall thoughts, and everything in the franchise, and our final score. So, to say the least, I would say we're pretty big fans. Got the first Maze Runner here, got the Scorch Trials here. So it's definitely for me one of those, teen adult type of books that are adapted to film. I compare it to things like Hunger Games or like your Twilight series, your Divergent series. But for me, I actually enjoy these a little bit more than those other ones. But I would definitely say I was excited for the Death Cure. What about you, expectation wise, going into this third one?
I wasn't really excited. I'm sorry. I know Elliott said we're pretty big fans, but I wouldn't label myself as a big fan. Honestly, I think I prefer. I know you brought up some of the similar kind of movies, but I think I prefer Hunger Games over Maze Runner. But, I mean, I guess let me get to the point. Let me get to the question you asked me. Was I excited? Not really. So we went and saw it, though. So there's that.
Well, there you go. She wasn't excited. So, I mean, I wouldn't say we're huge fans. I mean, fan enough to buy the movies and also follow up to the third one here. So I was excited for it. Obviously it got pushed back about a year and a half with Dylan O'Brien had the injury on set. And normally what they did was 2014, the first came out 2015. I think they wanted to wrap up in 2016, but unfortunately, again, that kind of pushed it back. So the momentum, I can see where you're kind of coming from. Because I remember when we first saw the first Maze Runner, it was a surprisingly really good movie.
Now, if you asked me that, did I like it when I first saw it, then my answer would be yes. But I do think that unfortunately, he had this injury. So I totally understand the need to push it back. But I think it just kind of lost momentum for me. Because I remember when we saw Scorch Trials, that was in 2015. So now being 2018, it's been some time. So it wasn't really fresh for me. It wasn't something that I was super dedicated to where I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for this to come out,
And we did a little refresher. I think you were kind of being busy, kind of doing stuff in the house. And I watched the first two,
it wasn't that I was busy. It just didn't grasp my attention. And I think for me too, like we watched all three in the same day.
I think it hurt your overall
because hello, I don't like watching long movies.
5 hours worth of Maze Runner.
Probably longer than 5 hours. So.
Well, and we'll get into what we liked and disliked. But for me, actually, it did the opposite. Seeing the first two and then going to the third one actually kind of enhanced the third experience for me. And we'll get into that. So we'll just kind of touch on the story. So basically, I mean, from the trailers, and if you guys read the books, we didn't read the books, but this is basically a search and rescue type of film. You had Mino, that got captured by Wicked in the second one, and everyone from the Maze Runner group, the main group of people, were going to go save their friend. And then also you got some undertones or some other things going on. You got the people that are affected trying to, wage war. So there's a lot going on in the story. So for me, I enjoyed obviously the main cast getting together and them going on to the rescue and we introducing new characters. So I thought the story was similar to the other two, where I thought the first Maze Runner was more kind of quieter moments, still some action moments, but more quieter moments. You got to know the characters a little bit more and develop some relationships. The second one kind of took, they got a bigger budget, so they went more action. And this one did too, but I think they did a better job with this one versus the second one with kind of having a balance of story and action. What about you with the story? What did you think about it?
Sure. It was like, it is. It's just like that, which you're used to, search and rescue kind of storyline. They did have some cool rescue scenes, I thought. They did a nice job with some of those, made them interesting, which I thought was cool. But I mean, the story was what I expected.
Right. I mean, did you appreciate some of the callbacks? They did have some callbacks, not to spoil anything, but some characters that we've seen in the past come back. And some story points that they brought up in the first two. I enjoyed that aspect of it. Kind of
definitely something unexpected.
And that leads us into the performances, but also just some things that were kind of, I guess, for my negatives on the film was Not reading the books, but you could definitely tell there's some characters in this one in particular that were introduced. Like there's this Lawrence character that they introduced, and also some other characters like, you know, the Brenda and a couple characters like that I think in this one, you know, you can tell that there's some more backstory to these characters, but it was something missing there. What about you? What did you feel about kind of some disappointing things for you for the film?
Yeah, I guess, you know, to see it come full circle, there's definitely things where you're like, okay, this is an important character, but I don't know anything about this character because they just didn't give that backstory.
Right.
And I understand with movies like this, there are literally so many characters that you can't develop on everyone.
Right.
But for me, I guess I'm the kind of person where it's like I am more for anything in life, really quality over quantity. So if we're not able to develop on certain backstories, let's just keep them in the books and not in the movie, maybe.
And that, like, I think of like Brenda and Jose's character. Like you could tell that they had a good relationship even from the second one, especially in this one. But like you just really never understood why they have that much.
Yeah, like father-daughter connection. We don't really.
And also that brings me to one of the, you know, Jansen, for example, who, you know, Littlefinger, one of my hate to love characters in Game of Thrones. You know, you want to learn a little bit more about him. You didn't really get that from the franchise, and also
he is like
he's a great villain.
Jerk.
I know he's typecast to play the jerks, and he does a great role at it. But I would definitely say that was for me the weakest thing in the whole movie was, you know, you can see that they have these characters that you can just tell, even though we didn't read the books, you can just tell that there's probably more meat on the bone with some characters that we didn't get.
Even with Teresa and Dylan O'Brien's character, Thomas. I don't know how it's my nephew's name. But anyway, even with them, you notice they have this deep connection, like they're in love, but they're not in love. I don't know, but it's like
it's never really touched on. Yeah.
And even with Thomas, I mean, he's like clearly this such important character, but I don't even feel like they
really dive deep.
A lot of a development.
Watching the second one, they show you the very beginning of the movie. They have a scene with him and his mom, and that's like only thing you really get from him. Obviously, he had this history with Wicked, and that's pretty much it. And I guess too, just as a franchise, that's probably one of the negative things with this whole thing is they have some really great action, which we'll talk about more of the performance and direction, but there is something missing there. You could tell that there was a lot of something missing there with the characters and the story. So, which we'll go into, you know, a little bit more of the positive with performances. You know, you mentioned Dylan O'Brien. All three movies, including this one, I'm a big fan of Dylan O'Brien. You know, we used to watch Teen Wolf for a while. He was one of the shining stars for Teen Wolf, and it kind of got a little silly, kind of third, fourth season, kind of faded away. But Dylan O'Brien, you know, he was mentioned in the casting of Spider-Man. That would have been interesting. I mean, I love Tom Holland, but I'm really excited for this young, you know, Dylan O'Brien's future moving forward. You know, seeing them in comedies and seeing them in this. I think he was an MVP for the whole franchise, and in particularly in this film.
As he should have been.
Yeah, he's a lead, and I mean, this is his franchise. I think he did a great job with it.
I agree.
Some other MVPs for me, and I don't know if this is the same for you, but like Newt was great for me.
He's one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Another game. I mean, this is so funny. We were talking about. We were watching it yesterday. It's like Game of Thrones. Like I guess this is what they do when they're like shooting in between seasons. Littlefinger. You had Newt. You had I can't think of the young lady's name, but Khaleesi's like
sidekick. Khaleesi's Robin.
Yeah, like her sidekick. She's in. I mean, they have all these Game of Thrones characters, which is great. But Miho was great in this one. I feel like I'm pronouncing this wrong. Mino. Yeah, Mino was great in this one again. And actually, Teresa. She hasn't really been a character I really cared too much about. She didn't really do much of anything in the first and kind of the second one. But this one, she had some more scenes and did some more with it. And I thought she did a good job. But overall, like I said, Dylan O'Brien was the MVP for me.
Agreed.
Which leads into, you know, we'll talk about the direction, which, you know, Wes Ball, the first Maze Runner was his first movie. The second one was the second movie. And this is his third. So I think for 3 movies kind of hitting the Hollywood streets, I think he did a really good job. Again, some of the dialogue throughout the franchise was kind of weaker. They tried to have some comedic moments that didn't land too much. But I think overall, from action standpoint, from kind of an action director in that sense of the word, I think he did a great job. What about you? What do you think about Wes Ball? I mean, this is his first, like...
Yeah, I mean, I think it was good. I will have to say the first one is definitely my favorite out of all 3.
More motion and, like I said, more character.
Well, and you don't know what to expect. I mean, unless you read the books, then maybe you might kind of know. But once it's fresh to you. It's something new. You're getting introduced to these people, and then second, third, you already know them. So
yeah. And I mean, this is the only movie that technically had like a maze aspect in the whole movie. It's called Maze Runner, and the first one's the only one that really has like a maze element of it. I guess if you look at it outside, they did have.
I mean, they got out of the maze,
right? And they go through Scorch Trials, and then this one, So I mean, and that leads into just overall thoughts of the film and the franchise in general. I'll actually say I enjoy the Maze Runner franchise as a whole. Yes, it has some flaws, some character developments that we were just talking about here, some weaker moments in the dialogue, but I think overall as a package, it's above average to me when I consider the competition as far as, like I said, that teen adult type stories.
If we're talking like Twilight.
Yeah, like Twilight
clearly
and
blows
The
it out of the water.
Virgin. I think of like, other things that they tried to do these franchise with and that didn't work, but I think they did a good job overall. Yeah. And I think, again, Dylan O'Brien, taking away two things from this franchise, Dylan O'Brien and Wes Ball, I think they have a bright future for those two. Yeah,
I like Dylan O'Brien. Also, he's pretty cute. So
there you go. She got Morgan's approval for the cuteness radar, so that's always good. So again, guys, this was our review, and we'll kind of talk about score wise. So I forgot about the score. So I guess out of 5, you know how our breakdown is. You can see it below. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. It wasn't terrible, wasn't bad. It was a good movie. Yeah. 3 out of 5 for me. What about you?
I'll give it a 3 too.
3 as well?
Yeah.
All right. Well, 3 out of 5 for Morgan and I. I would say I would recommend to go see it. I would also say too, it wouldn't hurt to have seen the first 2 films because there's definitely some callback characters, some callback moments.
Don't go see it.
If you drop in the third one, I think you can still watch it and enjoy it, but you'll be pulled out of certain things like won't understand. Yeah.
I don't think that you would care enough to.
Some of the characters, some big things happen in this movie.
I would recommend seeing both of them before going to see it, but unlike Elliott, I wouldn't necessarily say go see it at the movie theater. Sure. I think this is something that can wait until it's on DVD or Netflix, whatever.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it has the IMAX format. So again, if you're a big fan of it, I would recommend seeing it in IMAX. Sure. But overall, 3 out of 5, 3 out of 5. I say to go see it at the theater. Morgan says hold off on it. But we want to know what you guys thought of the movie. Tell us what you thought of this movie, as well as just the franchise in whole compared to other movies that are similar to it, as well as follow our Instagram, follow our Twitter. All that information is down here, guys. As usual, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And we have some other content coming up pretty soon for you guys. Our February's movie bucket list will be coming out pretty soon. We didn't have one for January because there's so much going on, but we will have that back.
Many great movies coming out.
Yeah, but February is going to be a big hitter, so we're excited for that. So again, guys, thanks for tuning in. Again, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you guys again.